Good evening. So um this is our comeback show. It's been a little while, but we're excited to have you all here with us. I am Sister Salima, and we have some esteemed guests that's going to be on this evening, and we also have our amazing sister Spirit Lifter with us this evening. Um, I know that it's been a little bit, but this show means a lot to me, this particular topic. We are talking about what brothers and sisters, what they mean to nationhood, what nationhood is going to look like when you have brothers and sisters that intend on working together to build up this nation. So I think my sister has a little bit to say for us today. So go ahead and take it away, sis.
All right. Well, again, let me repeat what you said. Welcome to Sisters for Nationhood. Yes, we have been away, but I do believe that we are back. Tonight's topic is Are You My Helpmate? And if it's okay with you, sis, I would like to share what my thoughts are about being a helpmate. So
Absolutely.
it's entitled I Am Your Helpmate. So it says I am your helpmate. I am your helpmate. I am standing right by your side as a reflection of you. Even during the times that I may not fully understand exactly why you do the things that you do. Nevertheless, as I strive to love you best, I use my God given talents, my intuition, my softness to remind you of your godly excellence. I hold your hand through life, preferably as your wife, as you have agreed to hold mine. And with understanding and with patience and the use of my third eye, I affirm that over time we will achieve all that together we have endeavored to achieve, starting with what it truly means to be your friend, to be your lover, to be your helpmate, and to serve as a reflection of you. So I wrote that a few minutes ago because that's really my feelings about what being a helpmate is. It's serving as a reflection of my mate. Oh, there he is. Yes. Peace.
Peace. How are
So
you, sis?
excited right now.
Woo-hoo!
How is
Oh, I'm
everybody?
so excited. Minister, you don't stop the show.
How is everybody?
Yo, what's up?
What's
So
up, big brother?
fantastic.
Yeah, he's the esteemed part of the
Oh,
guest.
goodness. Stop.
Exactly.
Yeah. So basically, Dawood, I was just sharing what my thoughts were on being a helpmate. But we know that you're bringing the love and you're bringing the wisdom.
So, you looking for my definition?
Mm, I'm looking for, first of all, well, Salima, what are you looking for?
Oh, I'm definitely looking for his definition. Um, we first of all could not have had this particular show without Dawu being on the show. It was That's why I was like, oh, put a halt to it till we can get him on because this is his show.
Really?
This show right here is I tailor made this show for you. The questions are for you. Of course, I need my other brother to answer the questions, but when I was thinking of this topic, you were the main person that came to mind.
Oh,
And
thank
then
you.
when I mentioned it to Spirit Lifter, she was like, "Oh, absolutely, that's who we need to be on this show." So, yes, it's you.
Okay, what is my definition of a helpmeet? Let me think for a second. So for me, I think that definition has changed over the years. I know that what it means inside the confines of religion, but now that I'm not religious anymore, it takes on a different meaning. So for me, inside the confines of religion, a helpmeet, quote unquote, is a woman that helps you to meet your goal. And I think that that's very shallow because it's almost like what I've learned as I've gotten older is that, the purpose of you having a woman in your life is not just to put her to work. um and that is kind of what is implied on the religious side of that understanding, which is you got to try to find a woman that you could put to work, that she could help you do this and she could help you do that and she could help you do this. And what I found in my past marriages is when you make a woman to feel that her only use is to help you, then she ends up getting kind of tired of you after a while because she has her own self, she has her own life, and you can never make her feel like what she likes or what she wants to do is irrelevant. You know what I'm saying? And so that kind of is what a lot of men look at when they think of help me. Now this is not my blue pill simp version of that, but I'm just saying that when you choose a mate, them helping you with your business or something like that should be like your lowest priority. It should be more so, can you guys connect and cooperate? Are you able to, when you fight fair? Does in fact she bring peace to your life like you bring peace to her life? To me, those are the foundational things. You helping me do business or helping me to meet my goal, that doesn't mean as much to me now at the age of 50 as it did when I was 20, because I can do all that stuff by myself. So I don't necessarily need a woman in my life to quote unquote help me reach a goal, because again, it just makes it seem like I'm just we're coming together so I can put you to work. And that, you ask yourself, is that really what you want out of your relationship with a man, is just to be put to work? And 90% of the women I speak to say no. So I guess my question to you is, how do you feel about that form of definition, which is help me, you're there to help a man meet his goal. Like, that's very narrow to me. And it's not as important to me now as it was when I was younger.
Yeah. So, Salima, what do you think about that based on the fact that when we talked about it, we had a spin on it that was more so in terms of you and your man holding each other's hands through life. What are your thoughts?
Right. And like what minister is saying is that typically when that phrase is used, it's used in a religious construct.
Right.
Right.
And we are so far beyond that we didn't even think of it in that way. Or at least
Mm.
I don't think of it in that way.
Yeah.
Because I don't think that only a woman should be a helpmate. If we're mated and we are mated in a 50-50, way, meaning you're going to help me, I'm going to help you, we're going to make sure that we are good as a unit, then I think that it's something that is helpful, because the way that the world is right now, everybody is out for me.
Mm-hmm.
Even in relationships, the other person is focused on themselves while they're in this committed relationship where you are dealing with a person on a day-to-day basis, and but you're still completely and totally consumed with self.
Mm-hmm.
So in my mind, it's okay, if I'm going to be a helpmate to you, then you definitely have to be one to me.
Mm-hmm.
It can't just be that it's just me.
Mm-hmm.
So it has to be someone. I mean, we are all doing amazing things in our lives,
Mm-hmm.
so we can't have someone, I can't have someone in my life that is not supportive of the things that I do, that doesn't understand that my day is long.
Mm-hmm.
When I leave the office or when I turn my computer off, working my 9 to 5, that's not the end of my day
Mm-hmm.
in reference to the work that I have to do. So is this brother gonna be like, oh, you off from that 9 to 5, go in the kitchen and cook? If that's what he wants, I can't be that for him.
Mm-hmm.
you know Not
Mm-hmm.
saying that I can't cook, I don't cook, I don't like to cook, I don't want to nourish your body.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying if this is a day that I have X, Y, and Z to do for an event or a large order, then he would have to understand that. And then
Mm-hmm.
in turn, I would have to understand that vice versa. He may have something that he needs me to, step up on. And I have to be there and be mindful that it's not just about me. That's what I think about when I think about a helpmate.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts, brother?
Um. So I'm sorry, I'm playing around with my camera
Oh, that's
in
okay.
terms of in
Yeah.
terms of to do an avatar. Um. So here's my thing. My thing is I totally agree with her. And what we found is that certain things that we're saying did not really match up to reality,
Right.
and certain things didn't. The math didn't add up. So now, in my previous relationships, I was always the breadwinner,
Mm-hmm.
and in the one that I got out of 2 years ago, I was a sole breadwinner. Like I paid 1,000% of the bills or whatever.
Mm.
And in that situation, then you could see wanting a person to help you in certain ways. You know what I mean? Because they're not going to a job and then coming home and stuff like that. But I'm wondering if that model, that traditional model, even works anymore. Because it's funny. Like I went to go do a locksmith job for the sister that I've known a long time last night, and she's actually going to be on my show one day because she trooped the bid with her man. And basically she was I don't know how you want to say it without making it derogatory, like a prison wife or whatever.
Mm.
And so basically she was saying that once her husband came home from jail, he's doing all the work, and she said she's stir crazy. And that's the thing, is like I think a lot of times there are some women that want this lifestyle of you pay all the bills and I stay home. And
Mm.
then when they stay home, they get bored, or you know what I'm saying, like whatever. It's not what it's all cracked up to be. And so I agree with Salima that if a woman is going to work for 8 hours a day, you know what I'm saying, like, oh well, get the cooking from me when you get home. That's kind of like it's kind of not realistic,
Mm-hmm.
because you know what I mean, like it's almost like you're asking a person to do something that you may not want to do extra yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what I will say is this: is that especially a woman like Salima who has a job, but then she has a business also.
Mm-hmm.
I think what would have to happen is y'all would have to negotiate the time and negotiate like how you gonna see each other. And I think that is a relationship like that gets exacerbated when there's children also, because when it comes to the help me thing, what I've seen a lot in my travels is that once you inject children in a situation,
Mm-hmm.
children alter and change and really put a lot of stress on everything. And then the stress level goes up even higher if one of the children or some of the children are special needs, i.e., autistic, whatever, because now you have something that is guaranteed to grab one of the parents' attention a lot more than that person can give to you. How do you navigate that? How do you navigate somebody spending time on their children and having to deal with their children? And you know what I'm saying? Like you require a certain amount of time yourself. All of these dynamics make, to me, the terminology help me kind of obsolete,
Yeah.
because there's just too many more factors that go into a relationship other than will you help me with this or will you help me with that. Like, and these are the things I try to talk about on my show, Conflict in Relationships. I haven't gotten around to the special needs thing, but I'm gonna. Like, there's so many more factors that complicate a relationship now that you cannot use simple traditional phrases and words. And even though we try to talk against young people and the way they're reframing stuff, I think that it's time. I think that it's time for us. Now, I don't like the gender fluid thing. I don't like that. You know what I'm saying? And some of that stuff. But I do think that a lot of the ways that they're stretching relationships out and making new ways with them. I think that that needs to happen because we've been living on the same models for years. And what do we have? We have an 80% divorce rate.
Right. Right.
So we definitely have to reframe how we see how we're going to deal with each other. Because if we use, my mentor said this to me when I first got outside. He said to me, he said, if you use traditional ways with modern men and women, then you will always fail. And many of us try to use sprinkle in traditional ways, even though we all think differently now. And like you said in the beginning, we're so far removed from the religious way of looking at this, we didn't even think of help meet that way. But I just happen to have been a minister for so many years and I preached on that. So that's the only reason why I know. But you're right. I'm far removed from that understanding also. I just think that it's going to take a lot of reframing of how we see each other for these relationships to last because we can't take the traditional way anymore. There's no such thing.
Yeah. I my feelings about being a helpmate is
Uh-oh. Did I lose?
I can hear you. We can hear you, right?
I lost sound here.
We can hear you, brother. Salima?
Yes,
Am
I
I
can
on mute?
hear him.
Okay.
I lost sound.
Uh-oh.
No, you're
Yikes.
still here.
Yeah, we can hear you, so I don't know what to.
I don't think he
Hello?
can hear
Yeah,
us.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, yep.
Okay, he's gonna come back.
He
Yeah.
dipped out.
Um,
So
uh,
how what are your thoughts?
Well, just off the top, I was looking at statistically. They say that half of the country can't afford a $500 emergency, and there are 300 million people in America approximately, and they say half of them can't afford a $500 emergency.
Word.
The average salary is somewhere like I don't even think it's 50,000. I think it's like 30 something thousand.
It's like 40,000.
Yeah, something like that.
Yep.
So, in a traditional relationship, the man is the one who is the breadwinner, and the woman is the one usually taking care of the home, and she's not the breadwinner. If she's making any money, it's just supplemental. If the guy was to lose his way of bringing in money, then the family would suffer.
Right.
So already, try applying traditionalism into today's society. It doesn't work.
Right.
Both men and women have to work.
Mhm.
You need two salaries in order to survive.
Right.
So a lot of these guys is talking about traditional this and alpha this and and it sounds really good, but
Yep.
they're not applying it to what's going on in the world today. And the way that I look at it in terms of just relationships in general, I won't even say helpmate per se. I'll just say relationships is that there is no one size fits all to relationships. It all depends on what you and that person, what type of agreement you guys come to. Because I know for me, I've always been supportive of the person because I think everybody should have something that they're passionate about. And I want a woman that's passionate about something, even if it's cool, because there's some women that's passionate. Like, take for instance, like my mom used to love. She was a traditional woman through and through. I mean, she used to come. I used to come over to my my house and flap. She'd be clean my house up and clean the kitchen.
Hmm.
I'm like, what? Like she just, and that's what she loved to do. She loved to make the house, the home, her own. She loved to cook for the family and stuff like that, and that's cool. So that was her passion. But you're gonna meet women who's passionate maybe about something business wise. You know what I mean? So it all depends on you, the two people, and what they want. My overall take on it is, from my perspective, looking at people who's been married for long periods of time and people who are married, it is. When you look at those couples, do you think that that woman is with that man because he's able to wine and dine her and fly her to Dubai?
Right.
No. Do you think
No.
that guy is with that woman because, oh, when she puts on that negligee, oh my God. Do you think that's the reason when they get to be 70, 80 years old, that that's the reason why they still together?
Right.
Obviously, the reason why they're together because they love each other. They love and respect each other. They want that person in their life. When I leave this earth, I want to be holding your hand. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about.
Hmm.
So what I want is companionship. I want because I got my shit together. I want somebody to have their shit together. And the reason why we're together mostly is for companionship. I don't deny the financial aspect of it because you need two salaries and blah blah blah. We understand that, especially if the two people aren't making like a six-figure income. But for the most part, when I look at it, I want companionship. That's what I want, and I want to be able to support the person that I'm with in whatever they're trying to do. And my only caveat to it is this: if me personally, don't have the time to invest in that relationship, then I'm not going to be in one. And I expect the same from the woman. So yeah, I want you to take care of me. I'm not that supportive. Where I'm going to sacrifice. I want you to cook. I want you to do the things that traditional women does. Yes, it's like my brother was big on that. He said I don't. He said I can't use anything that's not working. If a watch ain't working, I can't put it on. So you better know how to do that. You better know how to cook. You better know how to, because I'm not doing all that shit. And I expect to be taken care of just like a woman expects to be taken care of. I'm not going to sacrifice that. So that's my only thing.
I agree. I agree with you, Hollip, that every relationship has its own um, definitions, and within that relationship, you decide who does what. I don't have a problem with the terminology helpmate, um, because again, I see it as being there to support the person that I love. I think when you're in a relationship, there's so much growth that takes place because that person is a reflection of you, in terms of the energies that you attract from each other. And you
Mm-hmm.
get to see you wake up with that person, you go to sleep with that person. So there's so much that you learn about yourself inside of that relationship, because you have to figure out how you're going to show up for another person. So
Mm-hmm.
relationships to me is not really even all about the other person as much as, for me, it's about deciding who I wish to be for another. How do I want to love? And
Right.
so I am good with traditional roles, but I'm also, listen, even if I'm not cooking, I'm good with making sure that we eat. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So it may be a semi homemade, but more importantly, I'm good with looking inside, looking at that person's spirit and goal, their goals and what they feel that purpose is, and standing by their side, helping them to, as I help myself, as I bring that same energy to myself, helping them realize whatever their dreams are. And all of that, everything that you've mentioned is a part of that.
Mm-hmm.
Sustenance, making sure he's getting the vegetable juice and the nutrients, making sure. And as I'm doing that, I'm doing it for me, but there are things, as Salima has said many times, there are things that I want as his helpmate. There are things that I would want him to do that's traditional too. Take care of the car, take the trash out, and I don't see anything wrong with that. So I don't feel,
Right.
because he's being, in doing those roles, he's being my helpmate as well. So again, inside of every relationship, it may be that some men are chefs and they prefer to cook, and the woman does something else, but and she's still being a helpmate even if she's not doing the cooking,
Right.
so I don't have any judgment on that. But the reason why I don't have a problem with the word helpmate is because I really do see it as being someone who is standing there and filling in the gaps to help propel my mate forward, just like he's filling in the gaps to help propel me forward.
Yeah. You look
Hmm.
at yourself as a supplement to the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
And also looking at yourself as an asset to the relationship, because you don't want to be just a burden on the relationship, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I think that's when
Yeah,
the
like
issues come into play, is when one person believes that they don't have to do anything but be to have a successful relationship. And that's insane to even have that kind of thought pattern, but there are people that have that.
mm,
I wanna kind of veg you back on what y'all was saying. I heard this years ago actually from a minister in a nation I was a part of. We won't mention it.
Hmm.
And if it's one of the positive takeaway, he said a friend is not a friend unless they grow with you at every stage that you grow also.
hmm
Oh,
And
yes.
I think that that applies to a good relationship when we become adults, not when we're like children in our 20s and stuff like that, but when we become adults, I think we see relationships that way, as in it's all about us growing together. I think that the problem occurs when you grow or the other person grows and one person doesn't grow. So
hmm
just like my beautiful sister was saying a couple of minutes ago, making sure he has his veggie juice. Well, what happens when dude just wants to drink Coke and you want to give him veggie juice? He's not growing with you. He's not trying to live healthy. And there's been situations like my older brother was in a situation with a sister that beat cancer 2 or 3 times, and she couldn't stop smoking cigarettes.
mm,
So basically, he had to leave the relationship because he was like, "Look, I done did this cancer thing with you 2 times. Why in the f are you smoking cigarettes? You asking for it?" That's a situation where the person didn't want to grow with him, so he had to move
right.
on. But I think that that represents a lot of relationships between a lot of us. I also would say this: being out here speaking to a lot of different women and a lot of different men, of course, through my domestic violence class, a lot of people are hurt. A
Hmm.
lot of people made really bad decisions when they were younger, myself included. But the difference, I think, is that I have gone through therapy and I have a mentor to speak to. I think a lot of people haven't really gone through enough therapy or just venting positively to somebody that's going to call you out on your bullshit and tell you where you was wrong in the situation so you can let it go. A lot of people coming into new relationships in their 40s, 50s, late 50s, or whatever have so much baggage from bad relationships that they are looking for you to do the same thing as the person that did something wrong to them, and that prevents them. See, I think that where this conversation is at right now, we may be getting ahead of that kind of stuff, because in reality, all five of us on this call, we are healthy, healed individuals,
hmm
if we can agree on that.
Yes.
But that is not the norm. That is
Right.
not the norm. Most of the people that you're going to run into out there, including some people in the BIL, some people outside, they are not healthy, healed individuals and should not be dating, but they are dating. It's almost like they used to say, you know what I'm saying, like don't practice on the customer when I was in sales. You know what I'm saying? Like,
hmm
don't practice on the customer. You should practice at home. I think that a lot of people are hurt and they're trying to get healthy through a new relationship instead of trying to deal with themselves and find out where they went wrong. And that's what's hindering. You can only be a helpmate to somebody, I think, if you're healthy. You don't have to be 100% healthy, but you're healthy enough to have self awareness. You can see where you've done something wrong, said something wrong, acting in the wrong way. Those are the only ways I think that you could have a healthy help meet relationship. But if you still on that bullshit where you don't see yourself as in wrong, all these other people did wrong to you, and blah blah blah, then it's a recipe for disaster, and you will never ever be a help meet to nobody.
hmm
Absolutely.
Yeah, I was going to touch on context is big, and one of the things, and I know that this will send the conversation in another direction because that's a long story, but it's something that I think we have to address. Is that what matters is what context are we trying to have these healthy relationships in?
Yep.
And right now we're in America.
Right.
Need I say more?
Right.
Yes.
So it's like trying to like I've made this comparison before. It's like you hear black men say, "Oh, well, our women are not feminine," like these other women, and da 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 da. But it's like trying to compare a woman who's living in a penthouse to a woman who's fighting in a foxhole.
Right.
How do you compare them? Their context and their existence is so radically different. So how could you compare her or use a standard of the woman that's basically free to one who's still under subjugation?
Yo, you know what it's like, son? It's like Kim Kardashian going online saying women just got to get off their ass and work harder. When you
Exactly.
inherit, when you inherited every red cent you got.
Yeah. She born into it, never had to work.
Right.
But that's what you call living in a bubble. Like those rich people and celebrities and all of them, they usually live in a bubble. Like when you're around, think about how it must be to have somebody kissing your ass 24/7. Like where everything coming out of your mouth is manna from heaven, and nobody ever just says, "Oh God, that was stupid." Nobody ever keeps it real with you.
Right.
That's what you get. You get Kim Kardashian.
Yeah. Yeah. Can I interject here and read what a Siri said? She says, if we're honest, it's important to reframe our expectations, considering the demands in front of us. We should never assume each other. We should discover each other. So we should never assume each other. We should discover each other. Oh, yeah. Thank you for putting that up there. I forgot that part of my job, Mark.
Yeah, definitely. Can I read y'all something?
Yep.
This was
Yes.
something that I wrote. Me and Asiri were having a conversation, and I wrote. I just want to get your thoughts on this, and you tell
Okay.
me if this has some value or if it's nonsense. I said, embracing femininity is the ultimate vetting process for women to seeking to obtain the quote unquote alpha male they dream about.
Say that
Yet,
again.
I said, embracing femininity is
Mhm.
the ultimate vetting process for women seeking to obtain the quote unquote alpha male they dream about. Yet that mode of thinking today is counterintuitive. The intuitive thinking is that exhibiting more masculine attributes will protect the woman from the vulnerability of being feminine and submissive. That's the common mode of thinking. The reason why this is flawed and ineffective is because true alpha males are extremely protective of the feminine principle. Submission isn't viewed by an alpha male as being weakness or vulnerability, but rather an instrumental and necessary aspect of their reality that needs to be provided for and protected at all costs. So if a woman embraces her femininity and the man she chooses to deal with abuses or takes her submission for granted, guess what? She is with the wrong man. There are all types of red flags to let a woman know a man is not worthy of her submission. But instead of leaving the man alone before she involves herself in a relationship with him, she ignores her legendary intuition instead. This can sometimes lead to tragic and deadly results. Tell me what you think about that.
I absolutely agree. Exactly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
That,
Yeah. Yeah. But this is
you
this is
know,
my. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
what you just stated, I mean, for that needs to be shouted from the rooftop. Like everybody, you need to send that to me so I can make sure that I post that everywhere. That is so important what you just stated. Like we tend to get caught up in wanting to be in a relationship, wanting to support someone, wanting to do the quote unquote right thing, that we disregard the red flags. We disregard the fact that this person is not good for us, and that is a problem. And I don't think that anybody should be in a relationship of any sort that does not support them mentally, physically, emotionally. They should not be there, you know. Um I don't
I
know,
just
cuz
I just wanted
that's how I
to
live my life.
I just want to back up what I had typed, and Minister can probably relate to this more than you guys because I don't think you've seen this show. But you know that the show The Mandalorian, Dawood,
Yep. Yep. Hell yeah.
it's a perfect example of what I'm talking about when it comes to describing most. I think that we both, men and women, need to understand what is the masculine principle and what's the feminine principle. Because I think a
Mhm.
misunderstanding of those is the reason why we have such problems. And the reason why I bring up the Mandalorian is here it is. You got this guy who is, by all accounts, an alpha male. He's a loner. He's a killer. He's a contract killer. He goes out he's a bounty hunter,
Right.
and he comes across this baby, and
Mm-hmm.
now he's the protector.
Yep.
He's like looking after this kid and whatever on his own, and he's very protective of this baby because the baby's so innocent.
Right.
And that's usually how most alpha men are. Like you put I don't care if he's a trained Navy SEAL or whatever. You put an innocent baby in front of him, and that dude is going to protect that baby and give his life for that baby.
Right. 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 Yep. Yep.
So that's why I said the answer is counterintuitive because women think, oh, well, if I show femininity, I'm showing vulnerability, and therefore this guy's going to take advantage of me. The only guy that's going to take advantage of a vulnerable woman is a guy who is not an alpha male.
Right.
So he didn't deserve
Right.
your submission to begin with.
Right.
So that's the reason why I
Now,
made that point.
I agree with everything you're saying. I do feel, though, and this may go hand in hand with the fact that we live in America, as you say,
Hmm.
but for some of my sisters to come to some of their defense, if if you're forced into the role of changing your own tire and doing things, I think that it's kind of hard to hold on to your femininity. You have to really work hard at it. If from
Hmm.
birth you were plunged into a family situation where you had to be the man, uh,
Right.
the house, you know what I'm saying? You had to be the caretaker
Right.
of your parents because your parents were on drugs, or and then you had to be the parent. You had to be the parents of your siblings,
Right.
and you know what I'm saying. So I kind
Hmm.
of think that because our family situations are so messed up, that women may want to be feminine. And I've had sisters say to me, "Oh, I didn't even know that I should put perfume behind my ears, and I should put perfume on my wrist," which is something that's very, a very feminine thing to do, because
Hmm.
in their domestication, everything was rah rah rah, and you know what I mean,
Right.
and they had to be the man. They had to be
Yeah.
the man.
That's real. That's real.
Well,
And which gets back to context.
Yeah.
let me add to this. You know, and I jokingly refer to myself as quote unquote being outside, which is what drug dealers use to describe them, being ready to sell drugs. But I kind of I've been single for 2 years now, and I've been on a lot of dates. And what I could tell you is that a lot of the women that I've dealt with, I literally have to yell at them. I'm going to get that door. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Hmm.
I'm going to get that door, and they'll forget. They will literally. I just got one door from them. I'm going to get the second one, and they'll forget. They are not used to that. They are not used to. I come from the Nation of Islam, so I was raised to be a gentleman, and I operate that way. I operate that way with my mother, my daughters, all the women around me. That's just the way I
Hmm.
operate. And when I deal with women in such fashion, they're not used to all of that. I think that, unfortunately, though, because of this place that we've been in, it's almost like they don't trust it. Like, you have to be doing that in order to try to get some kind of manipulation or something. And that's why when I was talking about this love bombing thing last week on my live, that's a real thing. It's a real thing that people think that when you're genuine, kind, and like Harlop would say, you are an alpha male. Like, you take care of the bill when you take the woman out. All of that stuff is looked at as, what's he trying to do? He's trying to manipulate me. And I'm like, I'm just being me. And so I think that there definitely needs to be a context change, because when I do my domestic violence class, my God, you should see how some of these men talk. I can't really reveal a lot of it, but I'm like, you really think that way? You think that that's the way you should treat a woman? And they'd be like, that's the only way. These women is different out here, as if I'm not out here. And I'm like, bro, I'm out here just like you. I just deal with different kinds of women than you deal with. So I think that, likewise, I think that if I would say anything to what is being said, I think a lot of what we're talking about has to do with choice. Are you choosing somebody that will respect your masculinity? Are you choosing somebody that will respect your femininity? Are you choosing somebody that would honor it when you give it and not look at it as either a method of deception or something to exploit? Because if you can answer those questions right there, even though we're here and we're working on building something else, but even though we're here, you don't have to suffer while we're here. It's when you choose not to answer those questions. I think that that's what causes the problem, because you're saying, well, either he's got money or he's fine, or she's got the banging body, and we totally pass over the questions that we really should be asking.
Hmm. Well, that's because, unfortunately, that's our kryptonite. I mean, I'm just keeping it real. Like, everybody has their kryptonite. Men's kryptonite is that we assign value to beautiful women, even though they don't necessarily deserve it. Because they're beautiful, we just automatically put them on this, height or pedestal above other women. That's part of, our weakness.
What you think, sisters?
Uh-oh, what happened?
No, I don't know. I'm
Oh,
asking what
yeah.
they think.
Yeah, I know. I think they're on mute.
Sister Salima, are you
Okay,
there?
there you go.
Okay, I was asking Sister Salima what she thought. Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah, I get you.
Oh, Sister
Yeah.
Salima just dropped. I
Oh,
knew
She's
something was
probably
wrong.
having connection issues.
She didn't. Here she is. Sis, you're back. Can you hear us?
She must be having some connect issues.
so let me ask you this, sis.
Hmm.
You've lived a full life. I've lived a full life. We're all in the 50 club,
Yep.
and we've all made very bad choices in the past.
Mhm.
How did you get to the point where you did not let that bad choice, because you're happy now, you've said on many occasions you're happy in the relationship now and things like that, with a wonderful guy. How did you overcome the decisions that you may have made in the past to get to the point where you could accept a good guy into your life and not sabotage?
Um. hmm. First of all, I think you know, number one, I'm a positive thinker, right?
Right, right,
So I don't, you know, because of because I come from abuse, I attracted an abusive person. But I've always been the same person.
right.
So I was the same person when I attracted people who had exploited my kindness and my love and my support. So I maintained that same energy when the right person walked into my life.
Hmm.
Um, so I was never really jaded by that stuff. Because whatever issues I had, I mean, the biggest issue was attracting the abuse. So I
Right,
dealt with that in counseling. Because I had issues regarding, standing up for myself and all that stuff. But
right,
but it was so for me, I've never been that girl. I've never been that girl that, and in fact, I mentored against being that girl because I always promoted and did my best to exemplify, you know, loving myself and believing that I deserve to be treated well, and ultimately manifesting that
hmm,
by attracting someone who opens the doors, who pays for things, who, you know, wouldn't let me pay for it. He wouldn't let me look at a check, flies me across the country, supportive of his bonus children. So, I would say for women who are jaded or who whatever, you really, counseling definitely helps. Finding a mentor definitely helps. But also starts with being able to look in the mirror and know that you are worthy of it. Those women that are uncomfortable, that you have to remind that you're getting the door, I suspect that they are uncomfortable with the act of kindness that you're
right,
giving them, because deep down, because they haven't received that level of kindness and chivalry, deep down they don't even know that they deserve it.
right, 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 right. Hmm.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yep.
ma'am.
Yes, we can.
Awesome. I'm back. I agree. Like I and we tell this story all the time because I think it's so important. The story about Hollip moving me from the wrong side of the street. I think that is so important because, and I did and I always state that I didn't take offense to him physically moving me around him to be on the right side of the sidewalk
Hmm.
because I knew that it came from love.
Right.
So if you're not accepting of the act that this person is, bestowing upon you, then you may get upset. If you're not, if, and he didn't have to say a word to me. I knew exactly why he was doing what he was doing. And the reason behind it was because he loved me.
Right.
So I never had to question that. And it's so funny that it was a second in which that happened. And it meant so much to me. And I don't think until I mentioned it that he even thought about it again, because that is what he was supposed to do
Right.
as my
Right.
brother.
Right.
So if we're not allowing people to love us and accepting the love the way that they give it, then we have to work on ourselves. And like you said, counseling is so important. We are damaged people. We have been mistreated, you know, in our families, where we live, the country we live in. We are mistreated every single day,
Right.
and some of it is covert, some of it is overt. We are being mistreated on a daily basis, multiple times a day. And if we don't get help for it, then we're going to continue to have this inner battle with ourselves to allow other people to just be kind to us.
Hmm.
You
Sis,
know?
I don't know if y'all remember. I remember a couple of months ago, I had put on my Facebook page that it was 0-degree weather, and there was a guy sitting slumped in the car, and his lady was out there pumping the gas. And you should have seen the amount of women telling me to mind my business. Maybe he was sick. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the male ego talking. I was like, what y'all talking about? Like that's a woman pumping gas in 20 below. And this nigga is in the car looking at his phone, probably playing a game while she's out there pumping the gas. I would have done it if I didn't think the dude was gonna get out the car and want to fight me. You know what I'm saying? And I ain't fighting over no sister that I don't know. But nevertheless, like it was, man, it was freezing out there. I had my coveralls on, and this poor sister was out there pumping the gas, and she had an SUV, so it was like $60. So which means she was out there for a long time, and the litany of women out there that was attacking me, talking about you don't know what you're talking about. You need to mind your business. There was one sister, unbeknownst to y'all, that I was talking to at that time, and she said I need to mind the business that pays me. And I was like,
Oh.
word? Mind the business that pays me?
Mm.
You know what
You
I'm
know what
saying? So,
the lesson to that is?
what's that?
And this is one of the things that, like, if you look online, you look on TikTok, you look on YouTube, everybody's telling somebody else what they need to do. Oh, you're too delusional. These delusional women, this men, the da 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 da. What you should do is just be lucky that it ain't you.
Right,
That's all.
right,
You
But
know.
it's in our nature to want what's best for our brother and our sister. So that's where that
Hmm.
sentiment came from.
Oh yeah.
And it's hard. It took a lot out of me, maybe like my early 30s, when I stopped focusing on other people, like worrying about everybody.
Hmm.
So it's a process, but it's a process that we have to do um for self-love.
Yeah.
right,
You got a limited amount of energy on this earth. Limited, finite energy.
Mm-hmm.
How are you going to spend it? That's the reality of it. It's like everybody can't be helped.
right,
No matter how much we want to help them, everybody can't be helped. So it's like what I tend to concentrate on is what do I want out of my relationships? What do I want out of my reality? Like how am I going to spend my energy? And to answer the question that Dawood is asked before, I think the way to keep from being bitter and holding things against other people is by accepting accountability.
Mm-hmm.
Because in a
yes,
relationship, nobody's like everybody wants to think that somebody's doing them wrong. No, You saw how this person was and you ignored the signs.
Right.
Period.
100.
Period. Take responsibility for that. Because when you take accountability and responsibility, then you're not walking around like a victim, like, oh, this guy, somebody did me wrong. It's like, no, no, that's not completely accurate.
Yeah, I mean, and it's in a relationship, it's our responsibility to make sure that we're being treated properly in any relationship, no matter if
Right.
it's a personal relationship, a business relationship. It's your responsibility to make sure that you are being treated in the proper way.
Hmm.
So to blame it on another person is foolish. I don't
Right.
accept that. You know, it it just doesn't make sense to me to say I saw that this person was doing X, Y, and Z to me, and I just watched it go and happen, and but it's his fault. If you knew that there was those actions were happening, it's your responsibility to stop them.
Right.
So it's a lot of personal accountability that most people don't have. Most people are not even willing to assume a personal responsibility because they can continue to be victims, you know?
Yep.
So
Hmm.
I'm not
Yep.
gonna be your victim. So we really have to take accountability for ourselves, and we have to make sure that we are doing things that
Let's do it.
that's
Then
good for both
go ahead.
parties. You know, if you're doing something and this person is expressing to you that they don't appreciate it, they don't like it, or something negative to them, and you just continue to do it, that's a problem.
Yeah. A series says it's a commitment to yourself when you go to therapy. I just want our people to get to the point of not seeing each other as enemies.
Oh,
That's
that
that's
that's deep.
that's deep. That's deep.
Yeah. It's the
And
big, our biggest problem, in my opinion, is the context in which we're trying to do this functional stuff. We're doing it in a dysfunctional environment. If I
Mm-hmm.
change the context, we could, it's sort of like we have to create the fertile soil for what it is that we're trying to grow. And you might be able to grow a few roses in a swamp, but a swamp is not the ideal situation to grow roses in.
yeah.
Fertile soil is.
You just
And if we want to produce good crops, we got to have good soil, and that
That's
good
right.
soil is the context that we exist in.
That's the foundation. And if you don't have a good foundation, everything you put on top of it crumbles.
Right.
Those things are sure it could sound cliche, but it's absolutely the truth.
Hmm.
You
And
know, we
we're damaged when Dawood could see some make a comment about a guy sitting in a car and a woman pumping gas and women come and attack. um, we're in trouble. We're in
Mhm.
trouble when I'm at a bus stop and I see a man accosting a brother accosting a sister, and I look at him I look at her and I'm like, I should call 911. And she's like, mind your effing business. And
Wow.
Wow.
he was
Wow.
about to beat her, in front of all of us at the bus stop. And she was mad at me, which I'd heard that before.
Hmm.
I had heard that
Oh
women
yeah.
will get mad, you know what I mean, when you get involved. But I still could not. I was so appalled, 8 o'clock in the morning, and I could not say anything. So I had to take my chances. And sure enough, she was one of those. So we're in trouble. We're in trouble.
Oh, it's
That's why. That's why I said that to Dawood. Is because I've been in that situation. I would remember I was in the Bronx. I was with dating this girl in the Bronx. He was on the park bench, and this man and this woman were physically throwing down.
Ooh.
They went, all this excitement, and then we're sitting there watching. Maybe like an hour later, they're walking down the street arm in arm.
Right, right, right.
So
That's right.
we jump into this stuff because we're looking at it from the outside. We don't know the inner dynamics of what's actually going on. So a lot of
Mm-hmm.
times by interfering, you're putting yourself at risk. Because had somebody jumped in and tried to do something, that girl and him would have beat that dude's ass.
That's right.
Yep. And call the
So
cops.
that's why, like I said, with the gas pumping thing, just be glad happy it's not you. Say if that was me, I wouldn't do that. But oh well, and go on about your
Mm-hmm.
business.
What's connection?
It's the truth because you don't know what what the reaction of that person is that you're trying to help.
Hmm.
You don't know what their reaction is going to be. So you just let's hope he don't kill her. You know, and that's
Mm-hmm.
sad. That is so sad, but that it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a lot of
So,
times, I think people want to stay in. So in other words, we was talking about this at my domestic violence class, and this is the last thing I'm going to say. I got to bounce because my taking my son out to see Batman.
oh, nice.
Um, but what you call? We was talking about this the other night. What we were talking about was kind of when you get out of a relationship that was toxic, you should not date anybody for at least 6 months. And they were saying why. I said because what's going to happen is your mind is going to start trying to come up with ways in which you were wrong in that situation
Mm-hmm.
and want you to go back. And it takes at least half a year for you to finally say, I'm forgive me for what I'm about to say. Nah, that person was fucked up. It wasn't me, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of move on because and what that comes from is the fact that human beings, we still always default to the most comfortable side of our brain and our nature. Leaving a very toxic abusive relationship, that causes a lot of uncomfortability, and so your mind and spirit at the base level wants to stay in comfortability even if it's dysfunctional and abusive. So with that being said, I think that that's why you got to take at least a half a year and kind of get yourself together and overcome and silence those voices that's in your mind, because your mind is still going to say, like I've dealt with women that was brutally beaten, bones broken, face or stuff like that, and when I talked to them, I said, do you think he still loves me? I'm like,
Hmm.
what?
Right.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? But at the same time, I totally understand because we all want comfortability. And, I'm a victim of it. I've stayed in situations way too long. I should have left a long time ago simply because it was more comfortable to stay in the situation. So I
Hmm.
can't I can't be on this line saying they when I know I did it because, the situation that I left 2 years ago, I was in at least 8 years, I would say. 8 years too long, and
Wow.
nobody around me knew nothing. Like y'all would see me come on Facebook, and I would be the most jovial, you know what I'm saying, happy person. But you didn't know that every day I went home, I was in a living hell that I did not leave because it just was more comfortable for me.
Right.
So now I kind of the reason why, even though I do domestic violence, the reason why I do the conflict and relationship thing is because really the conflict and relationship is a Trojan horse. It's a way to draw people in, so I can really tell people, talk to people who are in bad situations, to kind of give you the strength to move on. Not saying that I don't want people to stay together. I do want people to stay together. But I think the majority of people, problem with myself included, was we stayed too long in a bad situation.
Mm-hmm.
That's the majority of the problem. And if
Hmm.
we were able to get the strength to kind of move on and get our lives together, we would not feel like we wasted so many years, but we stayed in that toxic situation because it was just too comfortable for us. And what we didn't realize was while we were there, we were taking severe emotional damage to our base spirit, to the point where now it's hard to trust somebody. So for myself, I'm just so glad that I had a spiritual man in my life that I could talk to and could really get to the core and help me realize, no, it wasn't that they was abusing you. It was that you liked the abuse. And what is the reason behind that? Was it like you said earlier, sis, when you said that because you was abused in an abusive situation, you kept attracting abusive people? Well, for me, it was emotionally unavailable people I kept attracting, men and women. Like men as my friends, but women as my partner. I kept attracting those kind of people because when my mom and my dad broke up when I was 8 years old, my mom went totally dark and what you call it, and was very cold. And so when that happens to you at the age of 8, it's what I called on one of my lives a wordless experience, where you don't really know what's going on because you're 8 years old. You just accept it. But as you get older, you think that that's the norm because at 8 years old, you learn that that's how you deal with people. You deal with people, they're allowed to be emotionally available. They're allowed to disappear from your life. They're allowed to do all those kind of stuff. So once I got on the other side of it, I could tell you just recently I was with somebody that I thought checked all my boxes, and they went through a situation on their job that was really hard for them, and they disappeared after we had like a 5 hour conversation the night before. So when they finally talked to me, they said, "Hey, listen, I'm going through something. Don't take it personal if I don't speak to you." I said, "Well, I'm not taking it personal, but we're not really speaking no more." And they was like, "Why?" I said, "Because I'm not going to allow you to check the fuck out of my life like this after we trying to build something because you look like the kind of people I don't, all the people that I don't want to be with." And the person was mad, but you got to protect yourself.
Yep.
And
That's right.
when you get to the point where you learn what it was that you didn't like, then I think that you put up a boundary and you don't let nobody do that to you again.
Right.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yep. You learn from your
You
mistakes.
gotta
And
learn
like you
from your
said, a lot of
mistakes.
times we stay in things we should have left a long time ago.
Right.
So that's us. You got to take responsibility for that. It doesn't mean you got to beat yourself up, but just know going forward to look out for the signs.
Right. 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 And this is one thing that I had said a little while ago, and somebody had reposted it, and I had to learn from it. It's all about boundaries and not borders. Because
Mm-hmm.
when you put up a boundary, you are able to speak to somebody from behind the boundary. But when you put up a border is really like a cowardly, faux way to deal with people because it's an emotional reaction to something that you should have had a boundary for, and you let somebody cross the line one time too many. So your retaliation is either the silent treatment or sarcasm or just being verbally abusive. That's a border, and that's really unhealthy. And when you deal with people who put up borders, we should all know better. But when we put up boundaries saying, listen, I'm telling you that this is not acceptable. And every time they try to cross it, you can articulate how you feel about it until you end that situation. That to me was one of the biggest bridges I had to cross because as a Scorpio, I'm so used to putting up borders. I'm not talking to you, I'm not going to answer the phone, I'm not going to answer messages or whatever. And you have to figure out what you did to hurt me, which is really insane. You know what I'm saying? And
Hmm.
and when I began to evolve, I began to get the courage because one thing my mentor always taught me is you don't have to be angry to articulate what you feel is mad or is wrong with you. And I always waited till I got angry in order to blow up on somebody because I didn't have the courage to say, hey, listen, that's not unacceptable without raising my voice,
Mm-hmm.
without, you know what I'm saying? No sarcasm in my voice or whatever, because I just wasn't courageous enough. But now I'm like, whoa, 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 hey, listen, you're crossing the line there. You know what I'm saying? They'd be like, what? I'd be like, listen, I told you I don't like such and such so and so. This is your last time me telling you this. And I think that when you do that, that gives people more respect for you because they know this person is a person of conviction, whether you're a man or a woman, and they stick to what they believe in. In contrast to you being, all over the place and nobody knows because you're constantly putting up borders and doing the silent treatment and stuff like that because you really have never invested in real communication and letting people know this is what I don't like.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well said. Well said.
And that is why we wanted you on.
Yes. And your children are so fortunate to have such
Yes.
a loving, insightful powerhouse of a father. They are so blessed. And God bless you for the work that you continue to do.
Absolutely.
Thank
I
you.
agree with that.
Listen, I'm out of here. I love all of y'all. I will
Okay,
see
love
y'all
you
in the next
back.
one.
Love you.
Love you too, bro.
Peace.
Yes.
All right. So we are at that time.
Yeah.
And anybody listening, you all know why we wanted that brother to be here because like I said, it was his show. This was definitely his show. Um Olive, you have anything else you want to say?
Hello.
Yes.
Oh, were you
You have
talking to me?
anything
Because
else
you
you
went
want to
out.
say? Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh
You
no,
have anything else
no,
you want to say?
no.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
good. I think I've
Yeah, I
said
think
everything that needs to be said.
absolutely. I think this was a good one. All righty then. So we're going to see you all next week. We will have another amazing topic that we're going to discuss, and just come back out and support Sisters for Nationhood and all of the amazing things that we're going to bring to the platform within the next couple of weeks. All right. So peace and blessings, and I love you all.
Peace and
Alrighty.
blessings. Love you back.